changing. Alright, so the button I'm going to do now, remove selected student. The user will play the program, then you'll click on a student name, and then you'll click this button. And we want to remove that specific student. So let's see what we'll do. So do you agree we want to remove from table student? So I'm going to go my table student, that's my component I'm working with. And now you think we want to remove a person. So what instruction do you think we'll use? Delete. And that's it. Alright, so however with this one, you needed to listen carefully to what I said. So the user will select a student and it will delete that student. So sometimes you could have thousands of people in your database. And now if you want to remove somebody, you don't want to scroll and look until you get to the person and then delete. Because let's say in our school, we've got 1,300 learners. Now George is leaving with admission number 1234. Do we need to now we need to go through all 1,300 learners, and remember our school keeps a database of previous learners as well for 5 years. So we're going to go through all 5,000 students looking where is George with admission number 1234. Okay, that's not ideal. So a next button we could have, I'm going to do the removes first. So let's add another button. So this one, I'm going to say this one is button remove student. And caption. I'm just going to do this. Alright, I'm just going to call this one. So this one is the selected one. But now if they do not select one. Alright, so we want to remove the student. Now, what do you think algorithmically? What is our first thing we need to do? Say again? Yeah, so step one would be to ask the user which student does he want to remove. In this, for our student, were we asking for his name? Well, we want to know George and then go delete George. No, it's not because there's multiple Georges, most probably. Do you agree? So what's the best thing to ask for? Okay, the primary key, which is either the ID number or it could be the admission number. In my case, I use the admission number as primary key. So it's always better if you want to delete specific persons to ask for the primary key. You will get a case where, let's say in your case, you want to have a button that you delete everybody that was born before or after a specific year. Or maybe everybody that was in grade 12 last year, you maybe want a button to remove all grade 12s. So that you can, because they left the school now, so you want to just carry on with your database and that should happen. So then you'll choose obviously grade and you'll just say 12 and then you'll delete multiple people because that's what you want. But if you want to delete one person, we look primary key. Alright, and we said we're using admission number. Admission number was what? Was it a, what data type was it? I think mine was a string, yeah. Okay, depends on yours. Mine was a string, so I'm going to go string here. So I'm just going to call it ADM integer, not integer, string. And then as we said, we want to ask for it. So how do I ask for it again? Input box. First thing is the top piece, then it's the instruction, then it's the default value. So I'm going to remove. Remove, then which number. Remember with these ones, especially with your pet, you must give nice instructions. I would advise you even give a sample. Alright, so a tip I want to give you is this code. Oh, what are we doing now? Sorry, I should have started with that. What we're busy with now, this is called code construct. With databases and all the buttons you're going to do in exams and tests. Term 1, you're writing a test on this. Practical test. So, but in that test or in your exams, there's two sections. There's a section for SQL, which you'll do, and then there's a section for code construct. When it's code construct, you must do code construct, and when it's SQL, you must do SQL. You can't, if your SQL is not good enough and you want to do everything in code construct, your program will work fine, you'll just get no marks for it. And vice versa. You can't do code construct, but SQLs are good. You cannot put SQLs there. Even though your program will work 100%, you'll get no marks for it. Alright, so you need to know both for tests and exams. So the section we're busy with now is code construct. So we're basically using Delphi code to communicate with our database. So step 1, and this is very much related to arrays. So if you can sort of keep your arrays information a bit sort of close in your mind, then you will Alright, so step 1, remember now, think of arrays when we did arrays, and we want the delete button. So first thing we did, we asked the person, who do you want to delete? Then what was the next thing we need to do? We need to search. And so what's the first part of the search? Say again? Yes, so we need a loop to go through. With arrays, we used for loop because we knew how many elements is in the array. Do we know how many elements is in our database? No, so what will we use? Say? A while or repeat, yeah, whichever one you want to use, while or repeat loop, because we don't know, so we have to use our conditional loop. Remember, for loop unconditional, but you need to know how many times. We don't. So we use either for or repeat. Personally, I like repeat more. I'm going to use repeat. If you want to use while, you're welcome to. I'll show you how to look, how the while looks as well. While is fine, but so I'm going to do repeat. So repeat until when? When do we want to stop? Say again? When we're at the end of the table, do you agree? So it's, and through which table are we going to look? When we want to remove a student. The student table. So my table, so I want to repeat until my student table is at the end of the file. Remember EOF for text files as well? End of file. So it's the same except text files we use it a bit differently. We didn't say .eof. But now in this case for databases. So we want to repeat this following code until we at the end of the student table. But now, okay, one thing that we must sort of remember here, where do you want to start looking? Remember now, a person can click in the middle, and then the cursor can be in the middle. But do you agree we want to start looking for this person from the first one? So how can we go to the first record? Dot first. So we can just do our table student dot first. Just see I did it before the repeat because we only want to do it once. We want to ask the user, who are you looking for? Then we want to go to the first record and now we want to start looking. Everybody good? Remember when we did the while and the repeat, when we did these conditional loops, I told you there was 3 parts. It was the condition, and then I said whenever you've got a condition, beforehand you have to initialize. And that's that part, because we're going to the end of the student table. So to initialize it, we want to start at the start of the student table. Do you agree? And then on the inside, it needs to change. So after you looked at the first student, if the first student is not the one you're looking for, what do you want to do then? Go to the next student. Do you agree? So with our dot next. So we're gonna look for it there, but then just before the end, we want to take our table student to the next student. And then we're gonna do our search. I do it this way because I want you to remember it as well. With this, doing it this way, you can get easy marks. Pause this thing quickly. Alright, so this is an important thing to remember. Now we go. Alright, so our loop structure is sorted. So remember again, for the delete, we wanted to search, and for the search we needed the for loop, or in this case the while loop. What's the next thing we need for our search? The if statement. We need to now compare. Is this one we're at now the one we're looking for? So we do our if. So it's the same as arrays so far, except arrays we did for loop. Now we do while loop, but then if inside. So if the admission number that we got is equal to, now this is where a little bit of new knowledge comes in. You agree? We want to look at the admission number in the student table. So it's in the student table, so it's in our table student. But now we can't just say table student because it's the whole table, or the everything in that first time, because we had the first record. We have to tell it which field to look at, because we must look at the name field or surname field. What part of this record are we looking at? And that we do inside square brackets with quotes. And what is that field called? I think it was, so that's where having your database open helps you. You can open mine. So inside my students table, oh, mine is called student number. So in my table student, I want to look at the student in R. Yeah. Okay, now I deliberately did this. You'll see my student number here, capital letter S, capital letter N. But in my code, small s, small n, because it doesn't matter. Alright, if it's all caps or all small, the spelling matters. However, remember I told you, if you misspell, if you went student number, just keep it the same all over, then it's fine. Then it doesn't matter. So spelling matters, but case doesn't matter. Because we're just saying in this table, this field, is this field of the first student equal to the number we're looking for? If it is, what do we want to do? We want to delete it. How do we delete a student again? So it's our table student. Dot delete. And that's it. This is how your remove looks. Alright, so I'm just going to go to here. Now I'll answer questions, and those of you that's with me,